everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, my name is Brittany and I film videos based around the paranormal and mythological beings. So if that's something that you think might interest you, quickly go ahead and click that subscribe button and we're gonna dive right into our topic of the day. So I'm actually wearing my Jurassic Park shirt just because I adore those movies. I love dinosaurs and just always love those movies. But anyways, so today isn't really like paranormal, but I wanted to share my creepiest experience working retail. Now, I was previously a assistant manager at BoxLunch, which if you guys don't know what BoxLunch is, it is an amazing company. And like, they're not sponsoring this by any means, but it is an amazing company where every $10 a customer spends, they actually donate a meal to their local food bank. I was an assistant manager at BoxLunch, and I started in November a few years ago. The reason I ended up leaving there was because I got pregnant with Sebastian, and I had a little bit more of a dangerous pregnancy. So just to play it safe, since I planned on staying home with Sebastian anyways, just to play it safe, we thought that it was best for me not to work anymore, just because as a manager in a retail store, you are lifting things constantly. There's often times where you're working by yourself, and we didn't want anything to happen. So I ended up putting in actually like a 2-month notice. But back towards the beginning of working there, I had the creepiest experience with a customer. Now, at BoxLunch, you rearrange the fixtures a ton. And I was swapping Rick and Morty and Bob's Burgers. So I was swapping those fixtures. So I was rearranging Bob's Burgers and I was going to rearrange Rick and Morty. And I was the only person in I was the only worker in the store at that point. And the only other people in the store were 2 younger girls. I had a customer come in, and it was like an older male, and he walks in. So I said, like, "How are you today, sir?" Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be friendly. You're supposed to be nice. Like, that is what you're supposed to do. And like, not only just because you're working, but also because that's the right thing to do. Now, this customer turned and looked at me and said, "Why does everybody keep asking me that?" And then he proceeds to go, "Why don't you tell me how I am?" So I was like, I don't know how you are. I'm not you. And I was trying to kind of keep like a little bit of a lighter mood, but I had a really bad energy. I was actually pretty terrified. And then the customer goes, "Well, I'll tell you how I am. I'm flat broke. I'm 100 miles away from home, and my wife wants a divorce." I was like, "I'm sorry." And he goes, "No, you're not." And he was standing like right here. He was so close to me, and I kept trying to like back away from him, but he kept moving closer to me. And so then I was like, "I am." He's like, "Are you really?" I was like, "Yeah, that's terrible." And he goes, "Yeah, it is terrible." So then he starts walking a little bit away from me, and then he goes, "So what kind of store is this?" And I was like, "Well, it's a pop culture store." And he's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Well, we have like different like TV and movie merchandise and stuff." And he's like, "So this isn't a hippie store?" And I was like, no. And he goes, so you guys don't sell pot? And, like, I don't smoke. I don't do any sort of drugs. And I was like, no. So then he starts walking around, and he picks up those little, like, pins that you put on backpacks or keychains or like, I mean, lanyards or, like, jackets. And he picks one up, and he's staring at it. And no lie, he goes, I'm going to steal this. And he's talking to himself, and he's staring at this pin, and he's just repeating it over and over and over again that he's going to steal this pin. So I walked up to him, and I said, do you want to buy that? And he goes, do I want to? No. But will I? I guess. So then I get behind the register, and now there's a counter space between us, and he's, like, leaning on it. He's like, I'm X amount years old. Senior discount. And he, like, slams his finger onto the counter. And I was like, I'm sorry, sir, we don't do that. And he's like, who's we? And I was like, BoxLunch. And he goes, who's BoxLunch? And I was like, the company? The store? And he was like, well, just don't tell them. So I just kind of, like, awkwardly chuckled, and because that's what I do in awkward situations. I, like, nervously laugh. But so then I continued ringing it up, and he was complaining about the price of the pin, which we got complaints about prices a lot. It's something that I commonly heard. But, like, they have really high quality items. But anyways, so he's complaining about the price of the pin, and I'm not really saying anything. And then he looks at me, and he goes, what do you watch on TV? And I was like, well, I really don't watch TV. I watch Netflix. And he's like, what's Netflix? So then I'm telling him what Netflix is, and he's like, well, what do you watch on there? It's like, well, currently I'm watching The Flash. And he's like, what's that? And I was like, well, it's a superhero show. And he's like, well, what else do you watch? I was like, well, I'm also watching The Arrow. And he goes, well, what's that? And I was like, another superhero show. And he's like, is all they have is superheroes? I was like, no, they have other things. He goes, can I watch violent things on this Netflix? Do they have violent things? And it sent a chill down my spine. The way he said it, the way he looked at me when he said it, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I guess. And then he paid for his pin, and he left. So I was shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, that creeps me out so much. Just the way his energy made me feel, and just the way he talked, and some of the things he said. And then I didn't see him for a couple months. Then I was working, and I was chatting in another manager. Now, there was an employee ringing out customers, and like there was a few other customers, so I was on the register, and I was in the middle of ringing out a customer. This guy comes back in, cuts in front of that customer. Cuts in front of that customer and goes, so this Netflix, I watched it. And I was like, did you? And he's like, yeah. And then he starts talking about this person that I have no idea who they were. So I was like, oh, I don't know who that is. And he's like, you don't? And I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I don't know who that is. And then he proceeds, so then he walks away from me, proceeds to go to the other employees and goes, women are going to destroy the world. And then he leaves. Like, what? That is by far the creepiest experience I've had with somebody while working there. I mean, you know, it's a retail store. You're going to get rude customers, but you also get awesome ones. And they definitely make it worth it. But oh my goodness, you guys. that guy, I don't even know. It was so creepy and crazy, and he left, and I just looked at them. I was like, that's him. That's the guy. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because it is one of my crazy experiences working. I mean, I do have other ones because I was also a department manager at McDonald's. So I want to know if you guys have any creepy, crazy story working at any of your jobs. So comment down below if you guys have any. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you have not subscribed yet, it would mean the world to me, you guys, if you could hit that subscribe button. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will see you next time.